out to everybody. The school board meeting is now called order in session. Everybody have opportunity to look at the agenda. The revised agenda. Any questions about the revised agenda? Everybody have opportunity to look at the financials? And the previous board minutes? Okay, I get a motion for the approve the agenda and approve the financial report in the previous board minutes.
I make a motion to approve the financial report in the previous board minutes. Second.
There are motion and a second. No further questions. All in favor, use the voting say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. Next thing on the agenda is, the ASBA updates, policies 4.5, 4.11, 4.27, 4.45, and 7.16. Do we have any questions related to those policies? Do we have any questions related to those policies? Okay, got the motion relates to those policies.
I make a motion to approve the updates to policies 4.5, 4.11, 4.27, 4.45, and 7.16.
Motion is second. No further question. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. The next thing is memorandum of understanding with the school-based mental health providers, therapeutic family services, and Arkansas Counseling, Psychodiagnostics Incorporated. And you have an opportunity to read over that and see the memorandum of understanding. Do we have any questions related to this memorandum of understanding?
Is this the same one, same people that? I don't remember what we paid last year, but it's the same.
We don't pay.
We
No,
don't-
we
we
offer
don't-
them
okay.
space and they come on site. and
Okay,
serve our
I get you.
children.
You have questions? I'll say to both board about the meal understanding.
I make a motion, we approve the 2022-23 memo of understanding agreements for school-based mental health providers, therapeutic family services, and Arkansas Counseling and Psychodiagnostics.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, no further question. All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. Next thing is the approve the 2022-2023 assignment of funds and new understanding and operations of the Dawson Carney Perkins Secondary Consortium. Do you have any questions?
Is that the same outfit that's been doing this previous?
Yes, they filed for our grants and startup money and all of that for us. April Shepherd came last year, so that's what she manages for us.
Do you have any further questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to accept the 2022-23 assignment of funds and memorandum of understanding, detailed operation of the Dawson Carl D. Perkins Secondary Consortium.
We have a motion and a second, no further questions. All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, use the same sign. Okay, next thing is the memorandum of understanding for the special education services and Dawson Education Cooperative for 2022-2023. Do we have any questions related to this? What's the pleasure of the board?
make a motion we approve the memo of understanding for special ed services with Goshen Educational Co-op for the school year 2022 and 23.
We got a motion to second, no further questions. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. The next is the special education application assurances for 2022, 2023. Do you have any questions that related to this? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve the SPED application insurance. Is that what we're at?
Yeah.
E, yeah.
You don't need?
Second.
We got a motion to second, no further questions. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. The next thing is the special education budget for 2022, 2023. You have any question that relates to the budget? What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we approve the special ed budget for 2022 and 23.
Second.
Second, no further questions. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. The next thing is the varsity quote for purchase of city high cheer uniforms. Do we have any questions? I got one. I'm looking at this, it's a $20,000 request. How would the funds be reabsorbed? Because I'm not saying we're gonna give a $20,000 increase to the budget. So how would these funds be how would this proposed $18,000 be reabsorbed back into the district?
My understanding, the parents pay,
No. Where's those funds going when they come back into the district?
They get receipted and back to us and we put it back into operating. Is that where it's coming out of?
they'll come out of cheer and they'll go back into cheer.
So the cheer has a $20,000 budget.
Well, they have.
No, what's
they-
I want you to understand my question. I'm not giving the budget an additional $20,000 to stay there. If we're there, because they're asking us to give $20,000. So I'm saying we're giving $20,000. Is that money coming back into the operations, not cheer?
The expenditure is gonna come out of cheer, so the money goes back into cheer.
So
Dollar amount that we have to get approved because it's passed through, but we still have to approve it.
yeah, what I'm saying is, I'm looking at the budget. Right now, that $20,000 is not in the cheer budget.
Right.
I'm not, so they're asking us for $20,000 to purchase uniforms. I understand it, but what I'm saying is, it's gonna be a $20,000 increase to the budget. I'm just asking, if we giving them $20,000, I have no problem doing, is that $20,000 coming back to us and not going into cheer? See, what that says now is the cheer has an additional $20,000 in their budget.
Will it be a negative expenditure and then it's reimbursed back? Is that how it goes? Kind of like our special ed. We have negatives, so it'll be a negative on the cheer account and it comes back into the cheer account. We have to code it from what it's coming from.
I understand that, and it's gonna be transferred back into our budget, our operational budget.
I think she's saying it's just money on paper, it'll go into the negative and go back to zero.
Yeah, it's not coming out of our operating, our other operational. Is that correct?
No, it is coming out of the operational,
We gotta give them money. for
because we
something.
get that $20,000 gotta come from somewhere.
And so then if we never get the money back, then where did it come from?
Well, she
Right
was saying the cheer had,
Yes, sir.
they just got
I
approved.
understand that.
They have
Spending over
20,000.
$3,000.
He says that.
So it's gonna go into the negative and then it's gonna go back.
So does the cheer have 20,000 in their?
They got 14,889.
I didn't think so.
That's
But the
what
people are gonna pay back, right? Some of them wanna buy their uniforms.
I understand all
that's
that.
what he
I know,
said.
but I was
Will that
asking
go back?
about
She's saying no.
Yes.
Okay.
What if they don't pay for their uniforms?
We keep them, they're all.
I know, but then
ours to
it's-
be-
Is cheer gonna still be in a negative if some of them doesn't pay their uniforms, that's what I'm saying. I think that's kind of why we get. a little bit
According to
different.
them, they're paying 18,000, but that's committed to buying the
They're
uniforms.
paying what? How much?
18,000 back, our part will be 2,000.
2,000 will actually come out here.
Yes.
They're putting the 18, they're gonna pay for the 18.
That's not what I'm reading. What I'm reading is, they're asking us for $20,000 upfront, correct? My question is, when they pay back the 18,000, where does it go? It shouldn't stay in the tier budget, because it didn't originate in the tier budget. That's where the request came from, because the tier budget is not allowed for that $20,000. Or otherwise, they'll just be asking us for two. But they're not. I understand all this. I just want to make sure where is the money going when it comes back?
Gonna go back to whatever the funding source was.
The
So
funding
if you
source
want
now
the
is
funding
us.
source to be operating, then that money will go back to, but we will take and reimburse that expense out of operating.
That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for. So we're looking for $18,000 removal if it all plans out like you see. Because what I'm looking at now is, if we don't do anything, we just increased, which is not what we thought, we approved at the very beginning, the budget by another $20,000. Money, I understand. I understand a lot of stuff. I understand money. But I'm saying, I understand what you're saying. You saying we give them 20 and it's gonna stay there. Their budget now just been increased $20,000. I'm saying when 18,000 come back, it's gonna be transferred back up out of cheer, back into where it comes from to start with. I don't see that yet. And I wanna make sure that's what's gonna happen. Cause I have no problem doing that.
If that's what you want to happen, we can make that happen.
That's what I'm suggesting happen. The board feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
See, I have no problem giving. I just have I have issue with it, because next year we come, we will approve them an additional $20,000 to their budget. But that's not what they're asking.
And they won't need it next year. because this is,
But see, I don't even want to do that next year. So I'm looking at, we meet, and you come back to us, you say, okay, the district has recouped this $18,000 back from the tier budget, and it's been removed from the tier budget, or whatever stayed. That makes any sense?
Because we look, doubling their budget, so that's what we're going with.
It's just that we have
I
to
mean,
write
if
one
we
check
look-
from the district to them.
If we
I'm-
look
I'm-
here,
The cheer,
I understand.
the cheer don't have their own
Yeah, I
separate.
understand. So
separate
we'll
staff.
reimburse
Yeah, I
them,
mean,
It
right?
comes from, it comes from.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
This is just accounting on paper.
So we cool with that? We understand that? So how do you feel about the request for $20,000 for the cheer for uniforms?
Make a motion to approve the quote on the floor.
A second.
We have motion and second. Any further questions? All in favor, use both sign aye. Opposing the same sign? Approved. The next is the district design agreement for 2022, 2023. Any questions about this agreement?
I read the ESSER funds, kind of takes care of this now. Is that going to continue to be that way until the ESSER funds are gone? What are we going
We
to
shouldn't
do?
still be paying for this play when Esther is gone. If we are, it would only be the resources because we'll be done with implementation.
Yeah.
But right now it is part of that set aside for learning loss. They're requiring social and emotional learning curriculum with that. So it's coming out of that. But when we finish implementation, we should only be looking at possibly the resources, online resources, which we can use title or ESA money
So it
to
shouldn't cost
support.
cost
No, it will
fiscal
not
money.
ever come out of operational.
Any other questions? I'll see the board.
I make a motion, we approve the CKH district redesign agreement for the 2022-23 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. The next thing here is the blue sky quote. I'm gonna give us a few minutes. And I'm just gonna, my previous line was to kill it and say, give us time to review it. But y'all feel like we have enough time to review it and move upon tonight, and I'm open to that.
The reason I went ahead and presented tonight is they are gonna have a price increase June 1st. And so to ensure this price, we would need to pass it tonight, but if not, we can do it.
I mean, it's up to the board how they feel about it.
Extra funds paying for this.
Yes, and it's, the state has approved it as an allowable expenditure. I've already sent it up to Tim Kane at facilities just to make sure, because we have to get prior approval on anything like this. And these basically would be sensors in every bathroom in our district that not only can detect vape or smoke, but they can also detect noise, heat maps, like when we've got crowds gathered. Noise would indicate fighting. It can also test for the air quality and what they call TVOCs. I'm not real sure what that is, but it helps know if you need to clean more frequently or if it's adequate. So it helps with a lot of those things, and it's tied to a camera that's in the hallway that if it's set off, it automatically, that camera is gonna do a quick record for like so many seconds after it goes off. So if someone comes out, you can see who's coming out. But it also at the same time will alert whoever by text or email that it's going off at the time. And if you have the teacher across the hall from that one on that alert, they can immediately go and check it out, or the principal can, or follow up on a recording later. So that's the one on the sensors and cameras. The other is getting cameras installed in places that we do not have them right now. Some of our dead spaces in corridors and hallways and outside. So those will be, that's the other camera.
The extra funds paying for this?
Yes.
I'll make a motion. Quote.
I'm not,
The only question I have about, you're gonna text the teacher across the hall, what if they got a classroom of students?
Well, they don't have to go. It's gonna also, I mean, we decide who's gonna be notified. It can be the principal, it can be that if it's the field house, it might be Coach Jackson. If it, we get to set those parameters in the system on who's notified and how. And with the recording, even if you can't go in real time, you can see who came out.
We won't be out nothing.
It's that, sir. No, not district
It's
operation.
a no-brainer.
Sure. I mean, we got safety problems.
No problem.
We gotta do it.
The school district have their own money, it's a no-brainer.
What happened to that?
shooting.
Yes, so
They killed 18 kids in Texas.
Okay, we talking about the cameras.
I don't think it's something else.
I'll say the board relates to the request for the sensors and cameras.
I'll make a motion to approve the blue sky quotes for the sensors and cameras.
Second it.
But we moved the vote. I'm just concerned. Okay, I'm missing something. We struck out installation. Is there gonna be another cost for installation?
I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna talk with Victor. If PM maintenance can run wiring and install, then that's gonna cut down on our price and we'll bid it out. We aren't necessarily going with them on installation. I think we'll be able to do a lot of the work ourselves.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Approved. The next thing is the agreement with Griffin Therapy LLC for 2022 and 2023 physical therapy. I'll give you a few minutes. Let me know when you're ready.
What? I mean, I understand the term physical therapy, but what exactly does this consist of? I mean, is this something that I mean, I'm just trying to paint a picture in my head on what we're trying to do here as far as physical therapy.
If we have a student that qualifies for physical therapy and it is on their IEP, we are obligated to provide that service. And we have roughly 6 students that are receiving physical therapy services at this time. If the committee determined that that was a need to have an evaluation done, then we did the evaluation. If they qualified, then we provide the service. I mean, this is something that we've always done in the past. We had Munn physical therapy before. However, Ms. Munn could not find a PTA to help her. So she was unable to feel comfortable with getting a bid since she did not have an assistant located at this time.
Do you have much experience with this Griffin as far as
Prescott is using them. That's who referred me, the special education supervisor there. I have contacted KidSource. They are unable to provide us with services because their caseload is so large. In fact, they were giving us a speech therapist once a week, and they're gonna be able to provide that this next school year because with COVID, so many students were at home, and that early intervention service, they provide services to those 3 to 5-year-olds as well. And so they're just consumed. I mean, it's hard finding anybody. So I usually speak to Arkadelphia or Prescott or the surrounding areas to just give pointers or make references on who to contact. We have run an ad since the end of March for PT bids, OT bids, and speech therapy. You know, it's just those people having the success of locating the assistants. They don't want to give that obligation to the district if they don't have that person secured yet.
how much do we spend a year on physical therapy?
I can tell you monthly, I don't have the annual, but it's anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600 a month.
How
We
many
have
times,
a lot of students that are high needs.
how many times we need to bill for the student not being available?
How many times do we bill? We do not bill if the student is not available.
I'm looking in the agreement, we are billed in this agreement if the student is not available.
And they're not notified.
If you look at,
They're not notified of the.
I'm saying, how
absence.
many times are we billed if the student is not available?
Well, recently, we have not been.
Try to make sure we not being prudent with our funds. Do we have a estimated travel time between campuses?
They're not serving other campuses.
No,
They're
no,
only
they're
serving-
billing us for travel time between campuses.
If they travel between campuses.
But our agreement is that we'll be traveling from campus to campus.
We don't serve students at primary and, at middle school and high school. Our only caseload is at primary school for physical therapy. So there will be no billing of time between campuses.
So why is it in the contract?
That's just a standard contract in case we ever did come up with one.
You see what I'm talking about, don't you?
What I'm saying, I see a conflict, is what I'm trying to say. It's saying we're gonna do one thing, but when there's a flat rate, I don't. Doesn't make sense.
What doesn't it make sense?
Those are the evaluations that are flat rate,
I mean, are
not
we
the
gonna
time
just
spent
charge
on
them?
therapy. That's if they have to do an evaluation for us, like on a student being referred. That's the flat rate. The other is time on students who have already had it in their IEP, but they have to get services. That's the time spent getting therapy.
the physical therapist only comes and tests. Is that right?
The physical therapist has to make one visit a month for supervision for the people, for the physical therapy assistant. And then the physical therapist has to do the evaluations. The evaluations are good for 3 years. Unless we have someone moving in or transferred that we're not sure about, unless the committee determines a need for a physical therapy evaluation.
Is there any other school districts, that does this, have certified physical therapists in-house?
No, sir.
All of them.
There's not,
contract?
the salaries are not competitive for an in-house PT, so that's why they're contracted. Because a physical therapist,
I mean, it did sound like you was talking about enough money to ever do that anyway.
no, sir, not by the time you pay fringe benefits and the salary, you're looking at anywhere from a $60,000 to an $80,000 salary.
Sure,
And that's just not feasible for us.
sure.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement with Griffin Therapy for physical therapy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further questions? All in favor, you vote sign aye. Opposed, do the same sign. Okay, at this time, we're gonna go into executive session. At this time, the board has come out of executive session. We're gonna take a pause. So the board will return. We are a purpose personnel package presented by the superintendent of the district. What is the district actually related to the personnel package presented?
I make a motion to approve the personnel package.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, approve the personnel package. No further questions, all in favor, use voting sign aye. Opposed, use the same sign. Personnel package has been approved. Next thing on the agenda is, we just want to thank Board Member Britt, Board Member Dillard, Board Member Holiday, and Board Member Rowe for your service to the Girton School District. We thank you so very much. We hate to see you go. But we wish you the best, and we do not want to leave without giving you our thanks for the hard work you've done before. We say thank you.
Hook.
We can come back now and heckle
Yo,
y'all.
Fred Gang.
And now we can make places.
Yeah, we can come back.
You got
the superintendent report.
Forget about this.
See?
You forgot the superintendent report.
Yeah, I know. I just want to have a bid first.
Oh,
Then we're gonna come back to that. We're not done. I was gonna take an adjourn. No. I was gonna do it.
I'll just make it.
We were
No,
fixing to
no, I was
go.
not gonna accept
Michael,
that.
try to make-
I was gonna
This is
accept
the last
that.
root of all.
Okay, this time we have a superintendent report. I need it.
And I did send this to you in advance, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at it, so I'm just gonna hit a few high points. I did, give you our anticipated funded enrollment for next year is looking like 624, and I'm pretty sure that's firm. Funding's going up per student, but our student numbers are going down, so we're gonna be getting state aid about 300,000 less than the past, basically. On page 2, I just wanted to highlight that we're having really good turnout with our dental services. Being back on site, we have served 13 students and 2 staff now, and 2 dental days that we've had. And we're also still doing the telehealth appointments the first Wednesday of each month, and we're hoping to do on site next year. On page 2 and 3, just some highlights from athletics this year. Both softball and baseball ended up in quarterfinals of district tournament. Senior girls and junior girls were our district champions this year. And Kavina Johnson won state medal for high jump, so she was state champ. And then we had 3 also invited to the meet of champions: Kavina Johnson, McKinley Manning, and Jemiah Garland. So I just wanted to publicly recognize them for that achievement. Mentions we had a sports banquet. We've had a lot going on. They've had a band banquet, gave out rings. They've had sports banquet for awards going on this past month. And then we have coming up in the fall our Garden Athletic Hall of Fame inductees again this year. So we posted something today accepting nominations for that. In primary school news, I just wanted to point out, I don't know if you had time to drop by primary school, that do they still have their little plants in the greenhouses, or have they taken those now? Okay, each grade in each class was growing something, and they planted some trees out back to help beautify the campus, and they look real good. And they were very proud to tell all about the process of how they chose it. I went over one day and they went out there and showed me their trees and how they selected them, did their research, how they planted them, and all of that. So they were real proud of those trees. They did a good job. Also, we're expecting Mr. Spraggins back. He should be here Friday. We have some meals planned for our schools this week, Thursday and Friday. Thursday, middle school and high school, we're going to be bringing lunch in. And Friday, we're going to have primary school with Mr. Spraggins back, a lunch there as well. Southern Bancorp is sponsoring, and it's being provided by Alperion. We're going to have a fajita bar, chips and dips, and chicken steak, all fixins for each school for end of the year. And the primary school also wanted to thank Ms. Gentry for helping out and Mr. Spraggins' absence as well as needed. Pre-K had their graduation last night. It was lots of fun. They were so proud. I love seeing the little kids up there in their tassels and all. And I think the parents there might have even been a little bit more excited than the ones at senior high graduation. So it was a lot of fun last night with that. On the high school news, they mentioned here that we will have a 21C program this summer with some activities. It'll be a few weeks in June and into the first week of July. And we do have food and transportation lined up for that. It'll be 3 days a week, and we'll have breakfast, lunch, and busing for that. Primary school's working on a plan, and then we will do credit recovery in July for students who need that at the high school as well. I gave you some pictures of the project the middle schoolers did for GT. That was pretty exciting. Everybody was enjoying that once it was finished and in the hallway for recycling. Other than that, we finished up all of our testing. If there's specific questions you have from this, I would like to just also publicly recognize that we have 6 teachers retiring this year. At the primary school, Gina O'Connell, who's our ESL, and Robin McDowell, our music teacher. At the middle school, Teresa Griffin, our secretary, and Susan Jackson, English teacher. And at the high school, Debbie White, art teacher, and district-wide, Jimmy Crawley in maintenance. So we have 6 retirees this year. And our schools also this week elected their teacher of the years for their schools. And they have been notified at each school now. So I'd just like to publicly announce at primary school, Kim Raleigh was voted teacher of the year, Brandy Kirkpatrick at middle school, and Debbie White at the high school. So we'll get that information out as well. Any questions you have? Or
I got one. This goes back to the enrollment. Is there any communication about the dropping enrollment, any fail fail-safes that we could start talking about or addressing if we continue to lose students?
They typically will do some declining enrollment funding to try to help districts like in that next year when you see that drop. So they have some student growth funding, if all of a sudden you see high growth, but you had low numbers last year, funding not there, they'll give you a little bit more. So hopefully, you know, that will pan out. We've also, finished, had a couple of positions from operating for next year too. And stay tight on our budget. We'll use our ESSER and categorical funds as much as possible, you know, for things that we can, in lieu of operating. That's what we've been doing so far as well. But we will probably get declining enrollment funding next year to supplement some of that state aid.
What does the teacher year receive? I mean, I wish, I went back, but it wasn't just you teach it here. Teacher here, that's saying something. You heard them by your peers?
They were voted on by their peers.
I mean, so I think, you know, I would appreciate after the,
I have, yeah, this one in my head, so.
anything else?
Motion adjourned.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have already have a motion. Have a motion in a second. We are adjourned.
Yeah, three, boom.
Virginia, we gotta do something.